is not logical. So how then do we deal with a life that's not logical? The danger of this is that most people have been groomed to operate in the zone of logic. So when they face those situations that are not logical, they don't know what to do. For instance, I mean, we all have those examples. I was trained in the school of logic about, trusting people, especially certain kinds of people, only to discover that these kinds of people turn around to do, terrible things to me. And you now ask, my goodness, what happened to? So life is not logical. And a lot of times when people face these kind of situations, I deal with people, I mentor people, I coach people who say, I've been living with this guy for years, he's been a great guy, and then suddenly he changed. Now, they are not able to handle that change. The one that I hear very often is, when we got married, he was so sweet, he was so nice, he was so caring, and now he's become a beast. But you see, what happened was, things were changing. His responsibilities were changing, his outlook to life was changing, so many things were changing around, and then we don't change also. All right? So it becomes a crisis. Crisis is the end result of change that was not managed. All right? In any area, financial crisis, whatever, it is the end result of change that was not managed well. So many people, when faced with these illogical situations, they don't know how to respond. You don't know how to respond because you thought everything was well at work. One day you get to work, you're fired. It's not logical. All right? And this is the point at which depression sets in for a lot of people. It's the point at which a lot of people get frustrated with life. And it is even the point at which some people have taken to the bottle, or some people have taken their own lives, simply because life did not make sense. It did not fit into their box of logic. So how then do we overcome this program of logic that has governed our lives since birth? These programs, they condition how we see life. They determine our outlook to life. They determine our values. They control our decision-making process. And these mindsets, like habits, cannot be broken just by saying, I don't want to think like this anymore. See, old habits, in reality, never die. They have to be replaced. In order to change one habit, you have to pick up another habit. All right? Break one habit. So that thing about breaking habits, really what you need to do is replace a bad habit with a good habit. All right? And so in order to replace the programming of your birth, you need to forcefully take on a new program. And this is so crucial. When you now take on that new program, you find out that you so develop yourself in that new program. That new program now becomes the new habit. So the process of reprogramming can start today. You're going to have to take note of certain things. First, and I've said this so often, you need to be seriously aware of your associations. Anyone who encourages you in mediocrity is your enemy. So, and your thinking will rise or fall to the average level of thought in your associations. And so that's very important. If you're always hanging out with people who are complaining and talking about how bad things are, when you're faced with a situation that you did not plan for, your default response will be the average response that will come from your associations. You know, when I say anyone who encourages you in mediocrity is your enemy, I mean that very, very seriously. As a leader, I've had to contend with the question of whether it is better to be liked or feared. And that's been an age-long question. Is it better to be liked or feared? My conclusion is this. If the only thing that happens is everybody likes you, they will like you and nothing will get done. But when you are feared, the job gets done. Now, when you're just liked, everybody talks about, oh, how nice he is, he's always smiling, he's always this. And but like I said, nothing ever gets done. Now, with hindsight, some of the teachers whose contributions to my life I greatly value, some of the teachers who have made the biggest contribution in molding me to who I am today, are teachers that I did not like while in school. And so this will help you as a leader. Liking is not a prerequisite for impact. Very, very important for you to know that. So let's get over the pity party. You need people who will sometimes annoy you to move you from where you are to where you ought to be. You need people who will provoke you, annoy you to move from one form to another. You need people who will challenge you and force you to think different. You do not need people who will encourage you in your struggles and mediocrity, because this only prolongs your stay there. And like the story of somebody who is struggling financially, and his wife says, oh, honey, I know you are doing your best. And he too says, yeah. And that's a big problem. Because if your best, if the best that your best could produce is that struggle, then you're in trouble. So in as much as people like you, love you, I want to, soothe the hurt or the pain of your struggle. Yeah, it's okay, but you know what? Don't rely on it. Because that will only keep you there longer. What you need are people who will provoke you, who will annoy you to move to the next form of your life. I remember a time I was in financial crisis, I had lost money, and I was with one of my mentors, and people just generally, a lot of people sympathized. And my mentor, he looked at me and he said, get over it. He said, get over it. Now, is that what I wanted to hear? No. Is that what I needed to hear? Yes. Now, and he gave me a thorough talking to. I remember another time, many years ago, I needed some cash, so I called another one of my mentors, and told him what I was going through. And he gave me a 45-minute to 1 hour lecture on being a good custodian. And he proved to me from the Bible that the reason I did not have was because I was not a good custodian of what I had had before. I mean, I was so humbled, I was angry, I was frustrated by the time he was finished with me. Is that what I wanted to hear? No. Is that what I needed to hear? Yes. And that's why I've said on this forum before, when people ask me to mentor them, I said, look, if I'm going to be your mentor, you're going to be brutally honest with me, and I am going to be brutally honest with you. We're not playing games. All right? So what you need, sorry to bust the bubble, but what you need is not encouragement. You need provocation. Encouragement contains, provocation lifts out. All right? So that's what you need. I hear people say, it does not matter what you're going through, God is in control. Well, I certainly do not subscribe to the fact or to the suggestion that God supports your mediocrity and ignorance. And for the record, it does matter what you're going through. A problem that is rooted in ignorance cannot be solved by prayer. You cannot wish yourself out of a problem you acted yourself into. You need to be provoked and, if necessary, annoyed to change the programming that landed you where you are. So start by taking an inventory of what I call the relationship effect. Who are those who inspire you? Who are those who encourage you in your mediocrity? And make sure you spend more time with people who inspire you, either in person or by their books and messages. Because if you spend more time with people that you inspire than those who inspire you, you will soon expire. So it is so crucial. Friends, the life we're living today is not a rehearsal. This is the main show. So whatever you need to do to move from mere existence to truly living is worth it. I had to do an inventory of my life. I had to do an inventory of my relationships. I had to do an inventory of what I was listening to, what I was watching, and I had to ruthlessly define my relationships. It's very difficult to penetrate into my circle. Very difficult, because I am very careful of who I relate with and who I allow to influence me at close quarters. I am very, very careful about it. I guard it jealously, because programming happens unconsciously. If I allow negativity around me, it's just a matter of time. I will begin to pick up that negativity. And so I don't allow it. So stagnation should also be rejected at all costs. You need to measure your life. Are you moving? Are you making progress? Are you just in motion? Some of the most hardworking people that exist are some of the poorest and struggling people. And you ask yourself, it's not just motion. Don't confuse progress and motion. Don't confuse activity and productivity. Don't. You need to do a check on your life. Am I really making progress, or am I just in motion? Your life needs to be that shining light that gets brighter and brighter, moving from one form to the other. Define logic and beating all odds. And if anybody can do it, you can. God bless you.